So look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah! The Detroit Lions had a fantastic ending to their 2024 NFL class with two selections in the 6th round, both projected to be top 10 players at their position and top 100 players in the entirety of the class. Now, obviously, we will talk about both players eventually, but as of right now, we're going to be taking a look at the first of those two players as the Detroit Lions traded up in the 6th round to pick 190 to select LSU defensive tackle Mekhi Wingo. Now, in the trade, the Detroit Lions did sacrifice both the 205th and the 249th selections to move up 15 spots to draft Wingo and make him a member of this Lions defensive line. But considering Wingo was considered a top 100 prospect and a top 10 player at the defensive tackle position, it seems like a really adequate trade for a player just to move up 15 spots in the sixth round. Now, Mekhi Wingo is a really fun athlete to look at. Obviously, 6'1", 284 pounds is not your ideal or prototypical size for a defensive tackle, right? A little bit small, a little bit light, not a player that you would expect to be a high prospect or a high pick. And that is part of the reason that he ended up falling. Being undersized means that you're not going to be as stout against the run. You're not going to be a 3-down player. And Mekhi Wingo probably never will end up being a 3-down player. He probably won't ever play the first 2 downs of football. But when it comes to 3rd down, Mekhi Wingo is going to be a nuisance. A 31.5-inch vert, a 4.85 40-yard dash, a 1.63 second 10-yard split, which was the fastest among defensive tackles in the class and ranking 98th percentile all time. Having a 7.33 second 3-cone drill and a 4.45 second shuttle both put him in the elite agility categories for the defensive tackle. And overall, he came out with an 8.78 RAS score, meaning he is one of the top athletes at his position all time and is one of the better athletes in his class when it comes to the defensive tackle position. Going back through his grades a little bit, kind of taking a look at the overall explosion, speed, and agility grades, because obviously the size came back as very poor. His agility grade came back, as I said, as elite, as he ranked in the 91st and 92nd percentile in those testing drills. His speed grade came back as an elite grade as well. Again, that 8.45 40-yard dash in the 96th percentile all time, the 2.77 20-yard split in the 97th percentile all time, and the 1.63 10-yard split being the fastest, the quickest 10-yard split of the entire NFL draft class, coming in the 98th percentile all time for defensive tackles. This is a top tier athlete at the position. His explosiveness grade came back as great, not quite elite, as his vertical was elite, but his broad jump was just okay. Mekhi Wingo is undoubtedly one of the best athletes that this class has to offer, and getting him in the 6th round, getting him with the 190th overall pick is a steal by Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions. A season ago at LSU, Mekhi Wingo unfortunately ended his season a little bit short. His LSU career ended in the 2023 season, just 8 games in, as he did unfortunately suffer a season-ending injury, but he put in so much work over the offseason to get back onto the field, to be there for his teammates, and of course, wearing that number 18 at LSU shows exactly the kind of leader and player that Mekhi Wingo is, or was, for the LSU Tigers. However, in the 8 games a season ago, Mekhi Wingo had 25 total tackles for the LSU defense, 5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks, and 12 quarterback hurries in a rotational amount of snaps. Mekhi Wingo, as I said, is never going to be a true dominant presence for the Detroit Lions. He will probably never be a three-down defensive lineman because he's just simply too small. I don't think he defends the run all that well. I don't think he necessarily is going to be a player that is going to be double-teamed and going to hold his ground and hold his own and eat up double teams and open up rushing lanes. But what he will do is when third down comes around, when there is an obvious pass rushing situation, an obvious passing down for the opposing offense, Mekhi Wingo is going to be on the field. He is going to be lined up next to Aleem McNeil, and the Lions are going to say, just go hunt the quarterback. And Mekhi Wingo, he's going to do that. And he might not play more than 30-40% of snaps for the Detroit Lions this year as a sixth-round selection. He might not get a whole lot of time on the defensive line outside of a rotational pass rusher. But I wouldn't be surprised if by the year's end, if by the end of 2024, we're looking at Mekhi Wingo and he's sitting there with 3-4 tackles for loss, with 4-5 sacks from the interior, even playing an extremely limited amount of snaps because he is that explosive and he is that twitchy on the interior that when everybody's worried about double teaming Aiden Hutchinson, when everybody's worried about double teaming Aleem McNeil, Mekhi Wingo is going to get a lot of one-on-one looks in obvious pass rushing situations. And with his quickness and his hands and his versatility, he is going to win a lot of one-on-one reps, and he is going to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Now, taking a look at Mekhi Wingo as a prospect, there is a ton to like. His leadership, for one, his ability to lead the locker room, his ability to be a positive presence for a football team is obviously a positive for what you want to see. For those of you that don't know, any player that wears 18 at LSU is known as a leader, is known as a team captain, somebody that shows excellent football character on and off the field at Louisiana State. And Mekhi Wingo was granted that honor for his final year at LSU. His quickness, his twitchiness, and his explosiveness are off the charts. He is one of the most explosive defensive tackles in this class. And even though he's not the strongest defensive tackle in this class, he probably won't run through you. He probably won't bull rush you to the ground, but he's going to take 2 steps and he's going to be past you. He's going to use his quick hands. He's going to use his quick feet. He's going to use his twitch, his change of direction, and his speed to get past almost every single defensive lineman. And yeah, he is a little bit smaller, but that means his pad level is going to be lower than most offensive linemen are going to have. And that means he's going to be able to generate some power. He's going to be able to generate some pressure. So even being a little bit undersized helps him a little bit in the pass rushing attack because he's going to have the lower pad level. And lower pad level typically wins in the NFL. And that's not to say Mekhi Wingo is weak either. He's not the strongest player, but he certainly has the ability to bull rush. He certainly has the ability to compress a pocket with pure strength and pure pad level. And that's what he's going to do for the Detroit Lions. Again, we've talked about how great of an athlete he is. We've talked about how fast Mekhi Wingo is. And for a 6th-round selection, I think you're getting exactly what you would expect from a 6th-round pick. You're getting the James Houston, right? You're getting the Malcolm Rodriguez. You're getting the role player. You're getting the guy that can come in a pinch and play really good football for you, but a guy that probably won't ever be a 3-down player, a guy that obviously has a rotational value, but probably won't ever become that 3-down defensive lineman, probably won't ever become that great run stopper, probably won't be a guy you can ever rely on to fully just take on the defensive tackle responsibilities and feel comfortable with it. But he is going to be a rotational guy. He is going to be a player that ends with 4 to 5 sacks for the Detroit Lions on the interior. He's going to be a fan favorite player. He's going to be a leader. He's going to be exactly what the Detroit Lions wanted from a pass rusher in this class. And even though they didn't get an edge rusher in the 2024 draft, I do think they walked away with a really good pass rusher. I think they walked away with a player that can put pressure on the quarterback and can put the quarterback on the ground. And I do think it was a very, very strong selection for the Detroit Lions. Again, not a 3-down player, not an all-around talent, but a specialized rotational piece for Aaron Glenn to use. And I think he's going to be very, very fun to watch on pass rushing. Guys, with all of that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. That is my prospect breakdown and analysis on Mekhi Wingo, the defensive tackle from LSU, the newest pass rusher for the Detroit Lions. Let me know down in the comments below how you feel about the pick, what you would grade the pick, if there was any player you would have rathered over him, and how you feel about the overall value of the 6th round for the Detroit Lions. I'd be very curious what you guys have to say and what you guys think. But with all of that being said, that's all I got for you guys right now. Thank you all so very much for watching. And until next time, and as always, go Lions.